Welcome to the WrestleTalk News. I'm Laurie Blake. Pete isn't here today, which means that on this very Tuesday, we wear pink. It's the 4th of July. Happy Christmas, America. So at Money in the Bank this past weekend, we saw some huge returns like John Cena, who gave everyone a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Please, London, please pay for us to bring WrestleMania to you. We saw the return of Roman Reigns getting pinned. We haven't seen that since 2019. And we even saw the return of the women's Money in the Bank winner not cashing in on the same night. Some pretty big stuff going on there. There was, of course, also the return of Drew McIntyre, who kickstarted his feud with Gunther once again, which appears to be the reported match for SummerSlam. Heading into Money in the Bank, there were reports of unrest with Drew, with him not seeing eye to eye with WWE's creative, no Sherlock, and not coming back until he was satisfied with what they were presenting. However, this is now a little bit in question courtesy of some comments around the show and a new report from Fightful Select. Because at the post-show press conference, Triple H dismissed those reports of Drew not being happy with creative, and interestingly, Fightful Select notes that while they never reported that there were creative issues, ensuring that there was good creative that he was happy with was in fact important to Drew regardless, because people want to do good stuff in the wrestling. So now it seems that Drew was reportedly banged up and needed some time to heal, with Triple H and Fightful Select noting the same. However, that doesn't mean that McIntyre is necessarily here to stay. Or what? A Select also reports that Drew has not signed a new WWE contract as of yet, and it expires in early 2024 because of course it does. Because every wrestling contract in the world expires in 2024 now. So whether Drew is back because he wants to be and he's happy to be there, or because he just wants to ride out his contract before he moves on elsewhere, remains to be seen. I, for one, just hope that he gets to be on our screens more, whatever happens to be going on, because he's pretty good, isn't he? There's a bunch of other noteworthy stuff that happened at Money in the Bank as well, like Shayna Baszler turning on Ronda Rousey, Horus Heresy for the win, Io Sky and Damian Priest winning the contracts, oh yeah, and Jey Uso pinning Roman Reigns. That last one, however, seems to have been a point of contention, with WrestleVotes noting that ahead of Money in the Bank there was trepidation from one high-ranking member of WWE Creative. But he is just a tag team wrestler. How can this man pin this man? I do not understand. This is because a strong argument that Reigns shouldn't be pinned prior to losing the title was present throughout the process, which is honestly it's kind of totally fair. But also, did you see how we all reacted when he got pinned, and the fact that it was Jey Uso that did it, and it all ties the story back into each other? It was a damn good moment, and WWE's all about moments. There were also rumors and reports ahead of the show that Brock Lesnar would be showing up at Money in the Bank, but instead he just appeared on last night's Raw instead. According to WrestleVotes, with John Cena and Drew McIntyre penciled in for returns at the show, plans were changed to have Lesnar's return be on Raw instead of on the premium live event. And some more rumor killers on WWE Creative, as there were rumors prior to the show that Zelina Vega's spot in the Money in the Bank match would be taken by none other than Charlotte Flair. However, Fightful Select is refuting that, reporting that there wasn't serious consideration for that, and Flair's creative had been planned for a while even before she returned. And finally, before we head over for the Raw review, PW Insider is reporting that AEW have allowed the contract of Trench to expire. Now, Trench was part of Swerve Strickland's Mogul affiliates initially, though he and teammate Parker Boudreaux were sidelined with injuries before long. Trench had yet to make his in-ring debut for the company and was still in training at the time of his injury. Boudreaux, meanwhile, seemed to remain confident of his place in AEW, tweeting on Monday that he's not going anywhere. No, I'm not going nowhere. Speaking of AEW, we're in the midst of a playthrough of Fight Forever's campaign mode, the Road to Elite mode, over on PFK. So if you go over and check out that video, I'd really appreciate it. Yeah, all right. Luke's off today. Here's Ollie for the Raw review.
Now it's time for my review of the post-Money in the Bank episode of Monday Night Raw. In about 5 minutes, after opening on a tribute graphic to the sadly passed Droz, Seth Rollins kicked off the show. Because I don't get to review Raw that often, I always think it's important to remind everyone of this fact. I hate Seth Rollins' current gimmick. It's just dressing like a prick while everyone obnoxiously sings at you. It's not a character. Seth played the role of recapping Money in the Bank, promoting the next premium live event of Summerfest, until a much better sing-along interrupted. Adrenaline. In my soul, something Cody Rhodes. Suddenly, we had all the context of Cody's first series of matches in WWE. It's been a year since then. Cody's main evented and lost WrestleMania, and Seth is the World Consolation Weight Champion. Cody only got the word "so" out though before Brock Lesnar made a surprise return. I imagine the "so" was going to be, "So I don't care about your world title because it's not actually that important." Finish the goddamn story! Rhodes actually got the better of Lesnar in the brawl. Back to Seth for Judgment Day to interrupt him this time. Less one Demon Prince, which Rhea Ripley assured us is totally fine. Finn's fine, he's just not here right now. It's definitely fine. This is the real A story on Raw. I know he's not LA Knight, but Damian Priest showed here why he was definitely the right briefcase winner. He's got far more storyline potential, creating heaps of tension, not just with the champion Seth, but also with his absent, definitely not here tonight faction mate Finn, which, wrestling code speak, means he's definitely here tonight. This set up Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins for the main event, which, yes, I am going to keep flogging this dead horse, would have been far better if Dom had beaten Cody at Money in the Bank. Imagine that arrogance. Priest then stayed in the ring to beat Shinsuke Nakamura, which is pleasingly different to how WWE usually books their Money in the Bank winners. In that, they're beaten all the time, usually. Speaking of WWE changing tack segue, I don't think they're trying to force Ronda as a babyface this time. Shayna Baszler interrupted Rousey in the ring with so much fire, not just passionate in her delivery, but in content, spitting truths that resonated way too much for us to boo the Queen of Spades. She said we're all tired of listening to Ronda try to talk on the microphone, that Shayna paid her dues, setting up rings for 30 people. Ronda just walked in. Shayna loves this sport. Felt like a badass babyface promo. And not just that, Rousey got dominated by Baszler in the brawl too. While the Money in the Bank turn came from more out of nowhere than a Randy Orton handshake, if we get NXT level Shayna when this is all said and done, it'll be totally worth it. I can't say the same for the women's tag division they left behind though. New champions Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan sat up ringside to watch Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville absolutely bury 5 other teams in a gauntlet match, dispatching each duo in sloppy, uncompetitive minutes. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, Nikki Cross and Emma, Tegan Nox and Dana Brooke, Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. Surely there's a way to set up new #1 contenders without destroying the rest of your division. Becky Lynch had a really good back and forth promo with Trish Stratus next, who is now wearing a face mask due to a broken nose in Saturday's ladder match. It allowed her to do plenty of "I'm prettier than all of you still" heel lines. And Becky asked what happens to Zoe Stark when Trish is gone, in one of those Triple H subtle teases of something that could play out months down the line. Suit variant Cody Rhodes was then interviewed by Jackie on the ramp. "Hi Jackie!" and said he'll fight Brock anywhere. He'll fight him on a boat. He'll fight Brock Lesnar with a goat. After weeks of singles and tag combinations, we finally got the full 6-person intergender tag match payoff of Alpha Academy versus the Viking Raiders. Chad and Otis training Maxine up has been adorably told, and the payoff saw her hit arm drags, a suplex, and a sunset flip pin to get the win on Valhalla. Interestingly, and what could be another one of those Triple H future nuggets, Maxine only screwed up when she tried hitting one of Otis's moves, not Chad's fundamental wrestling, getting kicked in the face while doing the caterpillar. That could be the beginnings of a fissure of Otis's sports entertainment versus Chad's pro wrestling, or WWE's version of the JAS versus the Blackpool Combat Club. Considering this was the payoff to this part of the story though, it could have really done with more time. They did as much as they could do in the 5 to 10 minutes they had, but it meant starting right away with the final third of the action. If this went a quarter hour, Maxine's final sequence could have been built far more effectively. Ricochet, not content with almost killing Logan Paul at Money in the Bank, called him out for an in-ring confrontation next week. Looks like we'll be getting an All the Flips match between them at SummerSlam. Rhea Ripley and Natalya actually had a surprisingly competitive title match, following Natty jumping Rhea during her entrance. It was mostly Ripley's star power and selling that got me invested. Liv and Raquel saved Natalya from Ripley's post-match beatdown. Io Sky then reminded Rhea she has a briefcase backstage. Ciampa and Miz set up a no DQ match next week, where Miz promised we'll be getting the best version of him. So that one episode of Talking Smack in 2016, because Riddle's role is now to always be the second or third most important person feuding with Imperium, he quickly pinned Giovanni Vinci, barely selling his ankle that forced him to tap out on Saturday, and was joined by Drew McIntyre in the post-match. They're going to team against Imperium next week after a few pints and some tinnies. And the main event had Seth versus Dom, which ended in DQ when Priest attacked Rollins. Yeah, an unsatisfying finish, but one that does make sense considering Damian has the title shot and that the post-match really delivered. Priest and Dom beat up Rollins afterwards, setting up a cash-in that was ruined when Balor ran down to start beating up Seth too. Judgment Day weren't on the same page, meaning Seth had time to escape. But not before hitting Dom with a pedigree outside. Raw went off air with Priest and Balor arguing. The most interesting part for me, though, are poor Dom and Rhea, the brother and stepsister of the group. They're watching their two dads clash, and both Finn and Priest have their justifications. Dom was trying to repair their relationship, knowing they're the only dads he has left after he kicked Ray in the balls, but he'll have to choose eventually. He might even say, a Judgment Day is coming. For Judgment Day. A good central storyline, but the wrestling on this 3-hour show felt very insubstantial. This week's Raw is 66%. Barbie, Mission Impossible, Indiana Jones. It's a huge month for movies, so watch our video previewing them all.
And Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
We'll be going to the premiere of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and I'll be speaking.